What's up, HardDrive Radio fans? Paulie here, and I am joined in the studio now by Harry and Griff from the band SHVPES.
What's happening? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming to see me, man. It's good to have you guys here in New York. I hope you're enjoying your time in the States so far.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
it's
been incredible. It's been
incredible.
incredible.
It's been,
Yeah.
experience already. So.
Has there been anything major, like, culture shock for you guys that maybe you weren't expecting when you came over here?
Yeah, Corpus Christi when we first got here.
Yeah, it was pretty mental.
It was just a bit weird, just kind of sitting in a cab with the most racist cab driver, and you're just like straight away, like literally just got off the plane, being on
First cab you get into.
15-hour flight
whoa.
or something, and you're just like, whoa, like we didn't even bring this up. What are you on about? But yeah, that was a bit of a culture shock. But
yeah, that's Texas.
That's not the culture, but
I actually really enjoyed because I'd
it's
never
been
been to the middle before. Yeah, other than that, it's Texas in general was pretty awesome. Like, was quite surprised at the way they do things there and stuff, but in a good way. But yeah,
everything has meat in it.
Everything.
Even the broccoli has meat in it.
Broccoli with bacon.
Yeah.
It's just like, don't understand
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
I mean, is there any other way to eat it? Maybe with some cheese on top?
Yeah, just fatten it up a little bit. Sounds good to me.
No, I mean, I think this is your first time playing here in the States, but this is not your first visit to the country, as far as I know.
No, we've both been here before. The rest of the guys, this is their first time in the US. But yeah, all of our first time playing here. So it's been incredible being over here.
It's a completely different experience.
It's cool being on such a big landmass where everyone speaks English. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can just have a conversation with anyone, all the fans you can just speak to. It's incredible.
Coming this far and then being able to actually converse with someone properly it's strange, but it's cool, because like in Europe you always have that like really harsh language barrier sometimes, so it's actually really a relief, if anything, when you come over and you're able to actually talk to people properly. So
yeah, I mean, I always forget the size of this country compared to everything else. Like, we're a really, really massive country. So
it's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah.
We've been driving around it, we know.
Yeah.
Are you guys in a van, or you got like a
van in it?
old school.
21-hour drives and that from
it's actually
Seattle to Denver.
Yeah,
that was a bit.
It's actually not as bad as it sounds. It's actually quite enjoyable, but I guess it's the thing because we've never like driven across something this far as well, so there's always something to look at, and there's like being a proper tourist.
We just sleep the whole time. You're great at it.
Yeah, true.
I'm driving and
at first it was like, whoa, look at all this, and now it's just like, should we sleep? Like, that's all we can really do, to be honest. So yeah, it's been good though. It's been good.
You guys are on the road right now with We Came as Romans and Crown the Empire.
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah.
How's that run going for you guys? Are they treating you well?
Yeah, dude, it's
Very well.
incredible. We're getting on with everyone really good. There's been a lot of hangouts and stuff, and we seem to be going down incredibly well with their audience. It's quite a cool tour because you got Era, who are kind of like definitely the heaviest band on that, and they're quite like mathy and techy. Us, where we've got kind of like a more of an urban sound, but we still all meet in the middle with this kind of like heavy music umbrella. So yeah, no, it's been so good for us, and it seems like people don't need to like digest our sound. As soon as people just take it at face value, basically. So, you know, we go on, we play our set, and people are like, I get it, it's great. You know, we've been working in Europe for so long, like kind of hitting the same markets and trying to get people to kind of understand our sound, and it's working over there, but it just took quite a long time to build. So over here, it's just like quite instantaneous, really.
People react to music a lot differently over here as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, people react to music a lot differently over here. Like, they're a lot more, don't know what the word it would be, like they kind of absorb it more, and then they're more interested to come up to you after the show and talk to you and be like, you guys sound sick, can I have a CD? And it's like, you don't really get that much in Europe. If people like you, they don't tell you. They'd kind of go home and then they'd be like, this band was sick. It's like, okay. But over here, everyone's just really keen to tell you.
Everyone's just well chatty over here, aren't
yeah, which is great.
People in the streets will just talk to you like, you fucking what, mate?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, literally.
It's bizarre, but yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I'm glad to hear that, man, because I always fear that we're kind of like cynical when it comes to music consumption in this country. So I'm glad to hear that everyone's really feeling you guys and coming up and telling you how much they're loving your work.
I imagine it helps being with like Crown the Empire and stuff, where the fans are usually quite young and open-minded, I think. And with it being a co-headline tour, there's obviously like the more metal side of We Came as Romans, and then Crown the Empire have a lot more of like a poppy sound to them. So people just seem to not be dicks, really.
Yeah, it's great. It's people from all sorts of musical backgrounds come to these shows, or people who like they've been dragged along by like their boyfriend or like their girlfriend or something, but they're like, yeah, man, I love like the hip hop influences and stuff. Like, I'm actually gonna go check you guys out now because I really enjoyed it. So I think we're getting quite a cool mix of people coming in and starting to enjoy the music. So yeah.
Let's kind of peel back a few layers on that and kind of go into influences and the beginnings for you guys musically, and not just as a band. I mean, like as musicians yourselves.
Right.
You know, Harry,
Yeah.
can you tell me, like, you know, what were the bands were you listening to growing up, and who has influenced you to become a musician?
Well, I started being interested in it when I went to like one of my first proper gigs, which was a Funeral for a Friend show. And then from that,
Tatted, didn't you?
yeah, got it tattooed on my arm. Microphone. And then from literally watching that show, I was like, I want to do that. So I had my first drum lesson like a week later, and I just never stopped since. But yeah, it was mainly like early 2000s, like Finch, Funeral for a Friend, things like that. Really, that were kind of coming out at that time when I was just starting school and things like that. So yeah, just like early metalcore, like hardcore sort of things, and that just inspired me to keep going and keep playing, and then eventually started a band when I met everyone else, and rest is history really. So yeah.
How'd you guys all meet?
Me and Griff, we all knew Griff for like quite a while because we played some shows with like his brother's band, so we knew Griff. But the rest of us, it's kind of like I met our guitarist in school, then we met our other guitarist in college, and then Grant, our bassist, knew like all Griff, and like it was one of those things like we need a bassist. Like, have you got any? It was kind of like that. So yeah, we've all kind of been around each other. So it kind of just took a few years to all come together and actually be in a band. But yeah, that's how it started.
Griff, how about you, man? I think you got quite a pedigree for yourself, huh?
I mean, surprisingly, I kind of just grew up on Eminem and Limp Bizkit, basically. I was just in my room doing the rap thing. No, I bumped into like every instrument but vocals. I was like a drummer for ages, and I was a shit drummer. So then I started playing guitar, and I was shit at that too. And then I picked up bass, and I was shit at that too. And then I basically just stopped doing music and kind of went down the more corporate route. Was working for Red Bull and stuff, and then met these boys, started working for my brother's band, doing like touring and stuff, and then they kicked their singer out and asked if I wanted to join. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll give it a go. Last swing of the bat kind of thing, and then here I am today with a microphone in my hand. So
Nice.
yeah.
So was there any point, you know, in your childhood growing up, you're like, I'm gonna be a singer, or just not?
No, I didn't think about being a singer until they asked me if I wanted to be one. Basically, yeah.
It was a very weird turn of events.
That's not true. Because I put something on my Facebook saying I wanted to start something. So I must have been like 21 or something.
Our bassist,
start doing it.
Because we were like going through things and stuff, and no one was really like it was one of those things when
the mustard,
when no one was like coming through that we were like, and then the people that were, they didn't seem that passionate about it, and it got to a really desperate point, and then our bassist at the time was like I was
the best of a bad bunch, basically.
It was like
I was the last resort.
It's like Griff said, it was like a last chance saloon to like just see if it would work out. Like on the off chance our bassist was like, I remember Griffin Dickinson writing something like, shall we ask him? Like
full name, did he?
Full name.
Surname.
Because at the time,
because what about my middle name?
Because what is your middle name?
Michael.
Is it?
Shit name.
I didn't know
that. No one's
that.
here called Michael, are they? No.
No one's called Michael here.
Any Michaels out there?
Nope.
But yeah, and it worked out insanely well. So here we are today in New York City, playing music. So
clearly the right choice to make.
Yeah, the world is a crazy place.
You guys have your second full-length album now at this point.
Undertones.
Greater Than.
Oh wait, sorry, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joking.
That's my fault earlier. Sorry. You know the name of your album, of course. Greater Than is out now. You know, tell me about getting down to start writing this one, because you had one full-length out already. You guys toured on that all around Europe. When you were ready to start writing the second body of work, what did you want to do differently from the first album?
We wanted to make it less schizophrenic, and by that I mean we always had quite eclectic influences, but when it came to actually putting all those influences into like fruition on that first record, it came out as like metal, little rap bit, little funk bit, metal, and it didn't really work. So we needed to smooth everything out and kind of allow the more quirky parts, for example, the little rap bit, the little funky bit, to be more prominent and basically make a song out of it rather than just make it a little weird section. So we took it upon ourselves to kind of really focus on making those more interesting parts highlighted and entire songs, as opposed to just little blimps on the radar kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the problem with the first album, really. It was kind of like we hadn't really been writing together as that collective for too long, and it was just, and that's why it kind of came out as a bit like, well, like a mishmash of ideas and stuff, because we just didn't know what we wanted, really. So when when we came to the second album, it was like, okay, we know what we liked about that album, we know what we didn't like, we know what works good for us, we know what works bad for us and stuff, and it was kind of a more of like a cohesive process rather than just being like, okay, like.
Also, the first one was us 5 dudes all sat around a laptop intoxicated, just throwing ideas at it. It's basically like 5 chefs.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was kind of trying to keep everyone happy and stuff. And then this time round, we wrote it quite differently. You know, it'd be like me and Ryan would write one song, I'd write one song, we'd all write a song together, 2 other people would write a song. So it was a different process. But yeah, I'm happy with how it's turned out.
Yeah, definitely. But when it came to like the end of the process, when it came to the end of the process, we were like, okay, like cool. There's
shits on our last record.
Yeah, literally. And that's always the aim of the game, to do better than the last one. So
what should we call it? Greater than?
Greater
than.
Yeah,
go on.
Greater than the last
Writes
one.
itself practically, right?
Universal went down with shits on the last record, so we had to choose greater than.
Yeah.
Shits on the last record's probably not going to sell as well.
I don't know.
You never know. We'll never know. Maybe it's the next. Maybe
the next one.
Maybe the next one.
Number 3.
There you go. Number 3. It shits on the last 2.
Shits on number 2.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
When you guys were ready to record, where did you go? What studio did you use?
We went back to the same producer that did our first record. It's Jim Pinder up at Treehouse. He did he's worked on Bullet, While She Sleeps. He's just the bollocks, man. He's like the 6th member of the band. So
yeah, he was definitely a very integral part of how that album came out and how it sounds, and he's like the voice of reason a lot of the times. Like you'll do something and be like, you could do that, but it will sound terrible, and it's kind of like, you need someone like that.
He knows
sometimes.
us more than we know ourselves sometimes.
You just need someone to be able to just be like, no, you're being silly. Like
lyrically, like I'll come in with something and he goes, yeah, I mean, if you want to say that about yourself, it's up to you. You're like, fuck you, Jim. But thanks. Yeah, go on then. Let's do that. We'll do it your way. And he's right. He is always right.
He is always right, and it's
love you, Jim.
And it's well annoying, but we do love you. So,
I mean, it's been pretty great for you guys so far. Album has been out for a couple months now, I think, and you're here in the States.
Yeah, we released it November 9th.
Yeah,
but I think it's kind of just been released over here. I don't really understand. Yeah, I just get loads of emails being like, "Look at this, figures," and I'm like, "It looks good. I don't know what it means." But
yeah, sick. But so we've got, don't know. I think so.
But yeah, I think it's just being re-released or I don't know how it works. I don't know what I'm
What's
talking
the word
about.
on that, Tim? Physical's out now.
Physical out now.
All right.
Hey.